What's going on, everyone? Happy Wednesday to everyone. Hopefully, everyone is doing well, staying safe, healthy. If you had to take a COVID test, hopefully you have tested negative. If you're currently sick with something else, I hope you have a full and speedy recovery with no long-term issues. And if it's COVID, no long COVID issues. It is time now for the Wednesday edition of the Pandemic Update for Wednesday, May 22nd, 2024. If you're new to my channel, this is where we do the daily pandemic update on all things COVID and an update on all the other viruses that could potentially be a health threat as well. Let's face it, you get the local news report, you get the national news report on TV every day. You don't hear too much about COVID or any of these other viruses that are spreading around the country and around the world. And if you do, you hear it for about 30 seconds. I give you 15 to 20 minutes each and every day on all the viruses that are out there and any news that comes in on these viruses, including cases, wastewater data, and whatever I can find. So if you're new to the channel, subscribe down below. If you want to see more content like this, that's the best way to do it. And of course, if you like this content, give it a thumbs up. It helps push my content throughout the algorithm. And remember to hit that notification bell. You'll be notified when I get my videos when I post my videos each and every day. Of course, share these with anyone you know and leave your comments down below. All right, we do have some rather interesting news to report on. We'll get to that first, and we'll do some other of our daily stuff, which something we are re-adding to the daily stuff, something we haven't done in quite some time, but considering it's starting to get hot again, yes, you know where I'm coming from here. Heat-related illnesses. We have to go back to that dashboard again. We got to start showing that every day again because, you know, it's time. It's important that you know what is going on in relation to heat, so we'll show you that, and eventually with that we'll start incorporating where there's going to be heat advisories and heat warnings in the United States. Then we're going to take a look at some of our daily data. We're also going to take a look at wastewater for each of the region in the United States, Canadian wastewater, and of course the rest of our daily data. Alright, starting off, there is some bad H5N1 news to report in two separate places. First off, there is a human case of H5N1 bird flu that is now being reported in Michigan. Now, there is some good news with this. The bad news is it's a human case. It's now the second human case this year. It's saying third case, but I'm pretty sure this is the second case this year. Someone correct me if I'm wrong down below. And it does say the farm worker suffered mild symptoms and has since recovered. Now remember, mild can have a broad meaning. I mean, mild doesn't necessarily mean they weren't going through heck for several days or for several weeks and were feeling really sick. Mild can mean they were not hospitalized. There's several different terms for it. Remember, the previous case was also listed as mild, and it turned out, sounded like he had one symptom with the eye that was pretty serious. So we'll have to see what happens. Hopefully, there's no more reported cases in humans in the U.S., but right now, a new one has been reported in Michigan. Another one, which actually takes a little bit of a right-hand turn, or gets a little bit more confusing, which leaves us with a lot of questions, is that Australia is now reporting a human case of bird flu in a child, and this is a traveler from India. So they traveled from India to Australia, tested positive for H5N1. Of course, there's a lot of questions. Were they around cattle? Were they around a farm? Were they just in India alone? Did they catch the case on the plane? I mean, there's a lot of questions we do not have answers for, but right now what we do know is that a child in Australia has tested positive for H5N1 bird flu after flying back from India, according to local health officials. So the child did make a full recovery, but read this. Let's read this. This happened back in March. Interesting part is we're just now hearing about it. Happened back in March, and the child did become seriously ill and did make a full recovery, but mind you, seriously ill, and again, it happened back in March. It's taken us a long time to learn about these cases. We're now almost ready to enter June, and here we are hearing about something. Again, it happened back in March. So that's the two big headlines for today, that, hey, there have been two more reported H5N1 cases, and the fact it's taken us that long to find out about this case, and the fact that the other case in the United States and Michigan, the person's already recovered. Yeah, thinking we're probably maybe missing some cases, or we're going to find out about more. I'm hoping not, but yep, that's where we stand. So I don't want to speculate any further. Let's continue on with this. Over in New Zealand, we know COVID cases are rising. We saw the report out of New Zealand yesterday. Well, now they're starting to deal with issues in school, where illness and relief, teacher shortages disrupt classes once again. In other words, a high number of staff members, teachers, faculty members are out sick, and you know the deal. If you are a teacher and you're short on teachers in your school, what happens? They send kids to other classrooms, or they put them in to big gymnasiums that kids get to watch movies all day. They don't get a proper education. Well, COVID is still disrupting education in New Zealand right now. Remember, it's wintertime over there. They're starting to deal with their winter surge. Fall is ending there. Winter is starting. It's the winter surge. We've seen this happen here in the United States, and it is really a huge disruption. We still have not gotten COVID transmission under control. And COVID comes in waves where a new wave can start at any time of the year and disrupt anything and everything in its path. And until we find a treatment or some sort of way, or take air quality and masking more seriously, we're going to continue to have these problems. All right, moving on to our final story. Taylor Swift. She's been going on this tour all around the world. She most recently had a tour in Paris. Well, as you know, her concerts, they draw a lot of people. Well, there's people starting to report clusters of COVID circulating. You know, these big concerts, they draw a lot of people together. And when a lot of people are drawn together, COVID likes that. There's this COVID account on Twitter, and they constantly post stuff like, COVID approves of this. Well, guess what? It really does. Because when you get a large number of people together, what do you think's going to happen? Of course, there's going to be cases that come from it. All right, moving on now to our daily data. Starting off with the national allergy map, 38% of the country is in medium. Good thing is we are not seeing a lot of red today. We're seeing some in lower southern New England, portions of New York, New Hampshire, southern Vermont, all of Massachusetts, almost all of Connecticut and Rhode Island are in the red. Just a couple places in the Great Lakes and a couple places in the northern plains in South Dakota. Other than that, you're dealing with orange, which is moderate levels, and the South is not doing too bad right now. Taking a look at air qualities for today, and you will see that air qualities, they are mixed across the country. We still have areas that are dealing with problems. This will eventually load up. Yeah, you can see here, much of the East Coast from Georgia on northeastward is in the yellow today, so that's starting to get around moderate. Where it is moderate to almost starting to get bad, that would be down in Texas, where we're seeing a lot of oranges pop up today. Remember that wildfire smoke from Mexico is still a major problem. Cincinnati and the Ohio Valley, you're seeing some oranges pop up now. You're definitely starting to get into the moderate range. And let's make our way out to the West Coast and see what's going on there as it gradually loads. Last I saw, they were having their usual hot spots, and eventually this will load up. There we go. Yeah, San Bernardino, Santa Barbara, Los Angeles is seeing its usual air quality problems. Not as bad further up north, just a few bad sites near San Francisco today. All right, rolling out something we have not looked at in a long time. It's the heat-related illness map. You can see here, there are several different colors. Anywhere that's in this darker shade of brown, that's seeing much higher than average heat-related illness calls. And that is really starting to show its ugly face in Florida. Florida has seen near record temperatures. Even a few record temperatures occurred late last week going into the weekend. And you can see here, there are a lot of places that are dealing with much higher than average heat-related illness calls. We're also starting to see heat-related illness calls in portions of North Carolina now. So please, if you are out and about in areas that are dealing with heat, please stay hydrated. Drink plenty of water. Take frequent breaks. Stay inside in cool air conditioning if possible. If you're an asthma sufferer or you have COPD, limit your time outdoors. Try to avoid the peak heat of the day. Go outside in the morning or go outside after sunset in the evening. Do not go outside anywhere between the hours of noontime up until about 5 or 6 o'clock. That is really when you're going to be dealing with the peak heat of the day. Right here in Philadelphia where I live, my weather station is saying it is 90 degrees outside. Obviously, the heat index is higher than that. So yes, it is not the time to be outside when it is this hot. especially when you're starting to deal with humidity. Remember, the heat index can be far more dangerous. It may say in your area, oh, it's 91 degrees. Oh, that's not, but your heat index is over 100. Yes, when that happens, that's when it starts to get serious. And we have seen places in Texas, southern Texas, that have already hit near 100 or at 100 this year. So you need to really take this seriously. I know we're not seeing a lot of heat-related illnesses pop up on the Texas map yet, but in theory, with how hot it has been, especially in southern Texas, this map should slowly start to fill in more. The West Coast, you can see here, take a look at this. There's some brown starting to show up here, some orange, higher than average and much higher than average areas. So yes, it's starting to show up. I'm going to be reminding you of this daily, and I'll probably even be showing you where the excessive heat warnings are so you can prepare and know when you need to find yourself a cool place to be. Taking a look real quickly at this, there are some threats of severe weather today from Texas through to Missouri, southeast Missouri, Kentucky, into Pennsylvania and New York. Be mindful of wind damage threats, hail, and even a few isolated tornadoes. Want to learn more about climate? I have another place where I do that. It is Climate Data Report on X. All right, taking a look at Philadelphia. There were 850 EMS calls yesterday, and I would like to make a comment on this. The northeast section of Philadelphia, or North Medic Band, so it's called, anywhere north of Lehigh Avenue in Philadelphia. The point I'm trying to make here was absolute insanity last night. I was listening to it, and it was just one call after another. The vast majority of calls which I was hearing, generally between about the time of 7 to 10 o'clock when I was listening, I heard a ton of respiratory difficulty calls. We were just talking about heat-related illnesses. It's getting a bit warmer out. Air quality, while it was not absolutely horrible, the combination of that and anyone who may have gained long COVID, unfortunately, over the winter wave, and cases starting to maybe rise again, people getting sick, because I did hear a lot of calls where they said a person who is sick or dealing with an illness having breathing difficulty. It's starting to show its face. And 851 calls yet again. I said it's 90 degrees here. That could also cause trouble as well. Live looking at what is going on in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. Let me refresh this. 12 calls right now, and I am seeing cardiac arrest as one of them, fever. Yeah, several different calls. Respiratory emergency. Not as many respiratory emergencies as there were a few minutes ago. Chester County, Pennsylvania looks busy as well. Stroke, respiratory difficulty, heart problems, syncope. Yeah, on and on it goes. Another sick person. Yet another 3 sick person calls right now. Is that? No, excuse me. 2 sick people calls right now. And we're seeing multiple respiratory difficulty calls. So, yes, calls are out there right now. Again, it's a hot day here. But also keep in mind, you will see in just a moment, wastewater in various different regions is starting to rise. All right, let's take a look at Walgreens. The positivity rate there is rising for COVID. 17.5% is the positivity rate this week. The prior week was 15.3%, difference of up 2.2%. And testing was up slightly. Not going to take a look at any states today because I do want to take a look at wastewater data. A lot of people are going to be traveling for Memorial Day weekend. So I thought I would show you the national levels and the region by region levels because this is updated. At least I think it has since our last wastewater video, which was this past Sunday. It's still saying May 15th here, but it's good that I show you this anyhow in case you're traveling. Nationally right now, COVID. You can see it's on the rise. RSV is low. Influenza A is dropping. Influenza B is dropping. HMPV is seeing a slight rise at this time, as is norovirus. Most recent update shows it dropping slightly. And now moving on to region by region. Let's go to the Midwest first. We're just going to go to the right along. You can see here in the Midwest, COVID did have an update on the May 16th that shows maybe it's dropping, but it was just one update. Really odd. Take a look at RSV. Again, just one update that's showing it's rising. It's not that big of an issue right now. Neither is influenza A and influenza B. HMPV is dropping at this time, as is norovirus. Now let's take a look at what's going on in the Northeast. And in the Northeast at this time, the rise, it's starting to get a little bit bigger. This is updated again as of May 15th. This will update again at some point this week. Just want to keep you informed because you know that holiday it's coming up and so many people are going to be gathered together. And you can see here COVID rising RSV is not an issue. Influenza A, Influenza B not an issue. Influenza B was dropping. Now it's leveled off a little bit. HMPV in Northeast is rising. Norovirus is dropping at this time. And now moving on to our next region, which is the South. And we can see in the South here, COVID, it's starting to rise a little bit more. It's starting to take on a little bit more of a faster rise. And this is rather early for the South. Usually this doesn't start until late June or July. So this is rather interesting. And taking a look here at RSV, not too bad, ever so slight rise at this time. Influenza A is dropping, Influenza B is flat at this time, HMPV is dropping, and norovirus, unfortunately, norovirus is high and dropping at this time. And the West Coast, we have to take a look at this. The West has been seeing a rise consistently since about April 23rd. Then there was a little bump in the road around May 11th, and then it immediately started rising once again. COVID is starting to get low to near medium. It's saying medium here. I don't think it's quite there. It's close to it, but I don't think it's quite there just yet. It is something we're definitely going to keep on watching. RSV, not much of an issue. Influenza A has dropped. Influenza B is dropping. HMPV, most recent update, a rise, but again, I think they will, or I hope they will continue dropping on the next update. Norovirus is seeing a rise out on the West Coast at this time. Now taking a look at Canada. These numbers have updated, and the number of sites showing an increase in Canada, it's 15. Number of sites showing no change, that's at 37. Number of wastewater sites showing a decrease is 10. One wastewater site is high, 11 are moderate, 11 are low, and it's saying 39 of them are new sites at this time. Taking a look in the United States, we can see here, epidemic status is likely growing in many states, and in one state, it is growing. That would be Florida. And we just saw, down in the South, wastewater starting to pick up the pace, and there are a few places, or states I should say, that are still likely declining or declining. Then there's a whole bunch of states that are not estimated or stable or uncertain at this time. Taking a look at New Jersey, 162 hospitalizations today, with 66 out of 70 hospitals reporting. Number of people on the ventilator, 6. I do believe that is lower. 22 people in the ICU, and they have 33 discharges in the last 24 hours. New York State, just 461 new cases today, but remember, that does not include those at-home tests or people who decide not to get a test. Something that did increase in New York State today, hospitalizations. It's picked up the pace a little bit. And it has gone back over 500. There are 505 people in the hospital, 45 people in the ICU, and again, this number is up. Usually during a rise, we do see that Tuesday and Wednesdays do go up. Hopefully tomorrow will drop a little bit, but I can't say what's going to happen about tomorrow. I'm just going to report to you what we're seeing today, and that is the fact that New York State is starting to see a slight rise in hospitalizations. It's something we're going to have to continue to monitor, and I think it would be best that we do check in on New York City while we're at it. Let's see what's going on there, and we should see that New York City at this time is also starting to see a rise, and we can see here it's actually flat over yesterday, so that's not terrible, and the number of people in the ICU actually dropped there. Let's take a look at what's going on in Long Island. We're going to find where the biggest rise was for today. Long Island went from 66 hospitalizations yesterday with 3 people in the ICU to 75 hospitalized today and 5 people in the ICU. We can see here that Long Island, they were dropping heading into the middle part of April, and then as for May, it's just an ever so slight rise, and this is the most that they have rised in a day so far in this wave. Again, not terribly concerning just yet. Something we just have to continue to monitor. Alrighty, folks, that does it for the Wednesday edition of the Pandemic Update. If I have taught you anything today, or I have kept you informed, give this video a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, subscribe down below, share this video with anyone you know, and of course, leave comments down below. What's your opinion on the H5N1? I mean, it's becoming a story that we're talking about more often. I keep thinking in the back of my mind, eventually we're going to probably have to change the name of these videos to Daily Virus Update, and hopefully at some point we do not have to say, well, Pandemic Update because H5N1 turns into one, but who knows what the future's going to hold. All I'm going to do is report to you on what is happening daily, and we will do that all again tomorrow. I will see you again tomorrow, my friends. Until I see you again next time, stay safe, everyone, and have a fantastic Wednesday evening, and thanks for watching.